So let's talk about these 10 tools. Number one, choice boards. Choice boards are such an amazing way to give kids that choice and path in learning in creative and organized ways. If it's putting together a choice board around things that they can do each month, if it's reading exciting things that they have maybe in Kidlit TV or Storyline Online, having kids create their own books, having them code their own books. And all throughout the year, we can celebrate special events in our libraries. And one coming up in May is Children's Book Week. So again, giving them a choice board where they have choice on what they want to do, if it's reading, if it's listening, or even creating books that they have. One of my favorite ways how we used choice boards this year was around book clubs. And not only did we get a lot of new books for our book clubs, but we put them together in choice boards where the kids then had choice on either listening or reading them online. But I love what teachers did. Not only did they share the choice boards with them, but they even printed off the choice boards to have the kids use them as a ticket. And so think about how excited they were on having some choice in what they wanted to read. Number two is Capstone Connect. And Capstone Connect is a new tool that came about during the pandemic from our friends at Capstone. And the great thing about Connect is it pulls in all the great materials that we love from Capstone. If it's PebbleGo, PebbleGo Next, our ebooks in Capstone Interactive, and also things that are instructional materials that help too. So a lot of times I get an email from my teachers saying, can you make a choice board? This one was about our little eggs that we have in our first grade classrooms. Can you make a choice board around hatching chicks and chickens? So I'll go into Capstone and you can either search by standards or even the topic. And so in this instance, I went to Iowa, went to science, went to first grade, and found things then that tied into hatching chicks. And I was able to pull in links then from the PebbleGo articles, from the ebooks that we have to create a great choice board. And so using Capstone Connect makes it really, really easy to do that. And I just right before this created 2 more for our first grade teachers, but having those tools and having those things handy for us makes it even easier for anyone to do that. Number 3 is Pear Deck. And I love Pear Deck as an extension in Google Slides. And what Pear Deck does is it gives you then templates that you can use for your instruction. And so when we talk about reading and wanting them to engage in what they're reading, if it's something online or a book, I paired up with Pear Deck a few years ago to create these Pear Decks for library media specialists. And anyone can use these. These are free for everyone to use. You can get to them at the bit.ly below, but they're focused, for example, around like reading prompts. And so if you have this up, your kids then can either write or draw their favorite place to read. They can write what an illustrator does, or maybe draw like their favorite illustration. And not only was it super helpful to use this during remote learning, but our kids use it on their iPads and their devices, and we use it to engage our readers all the time. Number 4 is Tinkercad and Merge. And a lot like Andrea said, kids love it when they can create things like in Minecraft. Tinkercad is kind of our solution to that because we don't have Minecraft. And what Tinkercad is it is an Autodesk program. Super easy to use, free for anybody to use, which is another great thing. And we use this for all kinds of things. And again, our kids love programs like Minecraft. They love anything that they can create, anything that feels like they're like gaming or turning into gamers. And so this project was one that we do every year around the holidays, and our 4th graders create gingerbread houses, and then they write stories around what they create in Tinkercad. Now, if you're thinking kind of like I did when I first started using this, like this was way over my head, it's nice because they have all these tutorials that make it really easy, not only for us as librarians and teachers, but for our kids to work through too. These probably take about 15-20 minutes. And once they have done these, they can create things like this as well in Tinkercad. From that, after they create it, then they put it into their story. And these are so cute because they are writing like why they should buy that gingerbread house. Now, within how you tie up Tinkercad and within Merge, Merge has a program called Object Viewer. And within Object Viewer, the app, what you can do from Tinkercad is you can export it, you get a link, and they can then view it in their Merge app. And so our kids are actually viewing what they've made in Tinkercad in 3D using the Merge Object Viewer app. Now, one thing that you'll probably notice that there's a little cube up here on top of the iPad, and that's called the Merge Cube. When they scan that Merge Cube, that's where they find that technology that they've made in Tinkercad. If you don't have a Merge cube, the actual cube, you can now make a paper cube. This is totally free for everyone to go to this link, download it, and all of our kids have made their own paper cube that we can use. You also can sign up for a free trial, and this gives you a free trial for a whole month to try out all the things that Merge have. And so really, really fun augmented reality and virtual reality experience for your kids. Number 5 is Buncee, now called PebbleGo Create, and they were bought by Capstone, and so Buncee is now part of the Capstone family. And PebbleGo Create is just so much fun. I'm actually going to school right after this to go teach my kindergartners, and we're using this for some reports that they're doing on opinion. And I love this because when you're now in PebbleGo, there is a little tab at the bottom called Create. When you click on that, it lets kids either create their own Buncee or also do an activity. And as you can see in step 3, they can demonstrate what they have learned. And so pulling in stickers, pulling in a video, maybe you can upload their own artwork. And this example, I'm not going to play it right now, but you can go to it on your own time. And there's a link in here. And this is such a great example of this because our preschoolers, they wanted to learn about how water towers worked. And so these pictures on the top are them with Mr. Pat in the boiler room of our school. And then we had them draw their own pictures, put them into PebbleGo Create, and then the kids added a video about what their pictures were. And so they became authors because we put this all together in one big PebbleGo Create, one big Buncee. And so you have to check that out. It's so cute. Number 6 is Biblionasium. And Biblionasium, I kind of like to think about it as the good reads for kids. And we all love celebrating what we're reading. And so within Biblionasium, kids can make bookshelves of the books they've read. They can write reviews. They can recommend books to friends. And they can celebrate all of this great reading that they're doing, not just at school, but even when they're at home as well. And so my kids love using this. We saw them use it over spring break. They love using it in the summer. And it's such a great way too for our teachers, not only our librarians, to truly see and celebrate what our kids are reading. And they love being able to share their reading lives with everyone. Number 7 are Sphero Indis. And I know that Andrea talked a little bit about using dot and dashes, and Sphero Indis is one of the newest robots on the scene. And I love these because they are coded from these little color cards that they have. And we did this with our first graders a few weeks ago, where we have been using them for coding, but then we thought, like, how can we take it one step further and have them use it for storytelling? And so I found the exact colors of what the different cards were, and we gave them something that they were going to do with those different colors. So if it was the beginning of a story or the middle, on a problem, the purple, the Indie will spin around and of course stop at the end. And so within these stories, we had highlighters of those 4 colors so the kids could highlight exactly what cards they needed within their story. And they had so much fun then retelling their stories to not only a friend, but also to their whole class too. Number 8 is Quiver. And Quiver is a really cool app of augmented reality that is runs off of coloring sheets. And so our kids love using this all throughout the year for all kinds of things, but I love tying it into storytelling. Now, within Quiver, they just announced their educational dashboard. And so you can go and find even more coloring sheets than they've ever had. A lot of things around science, around STEM, but you can also find things that tie into storytelling. They have things for book week and dot day, and they have a frame that's just an open frame that they can color anything. And then when they use the Quiver app, whatever is in that coloring sheet comes to life. And so augmented reality in a color sheet, pretty cool to kids. Number 9 is Scratch. And Scratch, of course, is coding, and kids are creating games and stories and animations that they can share not only with their classmates, but with others around the world. And our kids, even down to our first graders, use Scratch at school. And we have Chromebooks. We also can use just the Scratch Junior app. And they love using it for storytelling because it really does make that story that they have written or whatever they might be thinking and learning come to life. If Scratch is new to you, they have lots of great resources for educators and students. And if you don't feel like an expert, like a lot of times I don't feel like an expert when it comes to using some of these programs, and kids want to do so much more than maybe what we know. But with the animations that they have around these tutorials, kids can truly find whatever they need within those tutorials. The last thing are podcasts, and podcasts are a huge thing to our kids and also to us as adults and as teachers and librarians. But what I did this year when a teacher came to me and said she wanted to give the kids some choice on where they went with podcasts, I put them together in new choice boards for our elementary, for our middle, and our high school students. But our kids also love using SoundTrap at Van Meter to create their own podcast. And so within SoundTrap, they can pull in sounds of their voice, they can find sounds, they can pull in music, they can play instruments, and then put them together to be able to not only create their podcast, but even share it with their classmates too. And so truly bringing that learning and that listening to life for our kids using podcasts has been a huge, huge thing.